What's up, guys? It's me, Alan. I am back with another video. Back with my 2023 NHL Playoff Predictions. Last year's video somehow popped off in the viewership. I don't know how, but okay. I appreciate it. And hope who knows, maybe this one will too. But that said, before we get into the predictions, make sure to drop a like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos and streams. Closing in on 800 subscribers, of course. Would appreciate if y'all could help me get there. And let me know your thoughts and predictions down below in the comments. Uh, it definitely does feel like there's an expected winner this year, and we all know who. But it's a long road to get there. We'll see if it happens. So I'm going to start in the West and then go to the East, at least for the first round. There's a reason for that, as you will see. But with that said, we kick things off in the Central Division with the Colorado Avalanche taking on the Seattle Kraken. Colorado has had to fight all year long to get to this point, to get the number one seed after being banged up coming off last year's title run. And Gabriel Landeskog hasn't played all year. He's not going to be available for the playoffs due to injury. So that's a massive blow, and it will hurt them. But when you look at Seattle, second year of existence, they've made the playoffs, rebounding from last year, of course. Uh, they're good. They're a good team. They're going to get better. Um, it's funny because Colorado's former goalie Philip Grubauer is on the Kraken, who honestly Grubauer has not worked out. He's been all right in Seattle, but he hasn't been Colorado Philip Grubauer per se. And of course, goaltending will only take you so far in the playoffs. So I have Colorado winning this series in six. Seattle should give them a hard time, but Colorado will do just enough to get it done. And then we have Dallas and Minnesota. Basically, the two teams who have been fighting for the top spot in the Central almost all year, while Colorado was slowly working their way back into this spot. Um, both teams really good. They're both led by young talent. Dallas led by Jason Robertson, Minnesota led by Kirill Kaprizov. But I think Dallas will take the series win in 6 games to advance to the second round. Um, they're just really good. And we saw how good they were against Calgary last year. Of course, Dallas did get eliminated. I believe they went out in the first round. Correct me if I'm wrong. Uh, but even still, it just shows that they have nowhere to go but up. So I think they advance to the second round. Then we get in the Pacific. We then get Vegas against Winnipeg. Winnipeg was struggling late in the season. But they did manage to lock up the last spot. You can obviously, of course, Calgary and Nashville were the teams contending for it. They both fucked up at the end of the season, so Winnipeg was able to hold on here. But um, I'm gonna be generous and say that Vegas wins the series in six. I really want to say five, but I think Winnipeg, the way they play, they should be able to get a game or two. But Vegas should have this one on lock. And then we get the rematch from last year. Edmonton versus the LA Kings. Um, Connor McDavid won both the Art Ross and the Rocket Richard trophies this year. The dude's continuing to stack accolades, points, goals, everything. Here's the thing for me. I have the Kings winning in seven as revenge for Edmonton beating them last year. The main reason why? Goaltending. Because as I've already said, goaltending will either get you eliminated in the first round or will take you far in the playoffs. Toronto fans have warned Edmonton about how streaky Jack Campbell can be. And yeah, your previous option was old ass Mike Smith, but old ass Mike Smith could do shit. I'm not saying Jack can't. He's serviceable, but if he has his moments and LA capitalizes on them, then it's going to be another year of wondering what the hell happened, especially after Edmonton went all the way to the conference finals last year, only to get swept by Colorado. But if y'all get eliminated in the first round again, you have to wonder how this team gets evaluated for next year in terms of management, players, et cetera, et cetera. And I wouldn't be surprised if moves are made to actually, hopefully, supplement McDavid and Draisaitl because who knows how much longer you're going to have them there before they're going to run out. Jumping over to the East, and it's really weird not seeing Pittsburgh or Washington in the playoffs, especially Pittsburgh because they've been to 16 straight, but they're not here this year. Um, start looking at the Metro, we have Carolina against the New York Islanders. This is going to be interesting to me. Um, Carolina, they're a very good team, obviously, really good team. Um, but like as it's been talked about before, the Islanders just have this brand of hockey that they play, and it's kind of deceptive. It's kind of boring, but it gets the job done. Um, obviously, of course, you have the Bo Horvat edition from earlier this year to help the Islanders, and I think I think the Islanders can pull this one off. If they can capitalize on some opportunities, I think the Islanders get this done. They're going to beat Carolina in 7. So put the Islanders on upset alert against the Hurricanes. And then we have the Devils finally back in the playoffs after several years away against the Rangers. Now, the Rangers, compared to last year, don't necessarily look as good, but of course, the Patrick Kane edition, and some of the other additions that this team, both him and Tarasenko, I should say, it helps make up for the fact that I think Lafreniere hasn't been as good this year as he should be. Some of the other guys maybe haven't picked up enough of the slack, but um, it is nice to see the Devils here, um, and whatnot. I have the Rangers winning in 6. Do I think the Devils could win? Absolutely. I think it may come down to game 6 where the Devils are trying to push it to game 7 and they just run out of gas. But it's still a hell of a season for them nonetheless. Then we get over to the Atlantic. Boston and Florida. Boston in 5 because, yeah. Now, I do think Florida will give Boston a hard time. And I do think they'll win a game. Maybe 2. Probably just the 1. But Boston has no reason to lose. They have the greatest regular season in NHL history, and I don't see them pulling what Tampa did a few years ago when Tampa tied the then record for most points in a regular season, only to get their asses handed to them by Columbus in the playoffs. So Boston in 5. And then the rematch. Toronto versus Tampa. We saw them play each other one more time in the regular season a few days ago. Toronto won, and Bunting got a penalty for existing again. And it was a very, I think that game kind of set the tone for the series in a sense that this is going to be a war again. And if I may talk to Leafs Nation personally here, and really to the Leafs themselves, y'all need to go out there and play like your lives depend on it. You need to play like you're fighting for your job because as cynical as this sounds, I honestly believe it. If Toronto fails in the first round again, I don't know if Dubas is brought back. Because remember, he has not been extended yet. If Toronto gets out of the first round, I would hopefully expect Toronto will extend Dubas. If not, I don't see Dubas staying because if they get eliminated in the first round again, you could say Sheldon Keefe might get the boot by their new GM potentially. And then you look at the players. You look at the core 4. You look at the defense led by Morgan Riley. Um, you look at what your cap situation is, and if you're the new GM, you're looking at this and thinking, you guys have not gotten it done. It's time to break up the core four and retool this team and get a shitload of cap space. If that were to happen, my guess is Tavares and Marner probably get dealt. And maybe Riley as well. I don't know. But I think Tavares and Marner, if we lose in the first round, if Dubas doesn't get re-signed and a new GM is brought in and he decides to change the team up, I would think half the core four is getting moved. I get Tavares' hometown, but you know, and then uh Marner, is another uh like of the core four, it's like Matthews, Marner, and Tavares have the three biggest contracts compared to Nylander. Um, but I could definitely see this team getting retooled heavily in the offseason with guys getting moved if Toronto fails again. So, Toronto, you have one job: win. You have home ice. This is a Tampa team that is hurting. They've been on three straight cup runs. They've won two. You have and look at how they played you and they were in your last regular season game. Match their intensity, go kick their ass. Leafs in seven, get it done. Although ideally, please avoid game seven, win in six. But I'm gonna say they do it in seven because Tampa. So now we get to the second round: Boston, Toronto, New York versus New York, Colorado, Dallas, and Vegas, LA. So Boston, Toronto, another 7 game series. I get Boston's been the best team all year. Toronto has played, Toronto, relatively speaking, plays well against them. It is, of course, the playoffs, and it's going to go to game seven, and Boston's going to break Toronto's hearts again, but at least this time it's in the second round and not the first. And then Rangers, Islanders, um, the brand of hockey that the Islanders play they're gonna need to amp that up to face this Rangers squad. I'm gonna say Rangers in six, maybe five, but I think in six. So this will set up Boston versus New York in the Eastern Conference Final. In the West, I have Dallas knocking off the defending champion Avalanche in 7 games. Again, not having Landeskog is gonna hurt, and if if other guys get injured, it's gonna hurt even more. So I think Dallas gets it done, and then Vegas versus LA, the rematch, the revenge series for Jonathan Quick. Unfortunately for him, I think it's the Kings that advance, and the Kings take the win in 7 as well. So 3 of the 4 series go 7 games. The only one that doesn't is Rangers Islanders, which I say goes 6. So then that brings us to the conference finals: Boston, New York, Dallas, LA. Boston should be able to beat New York no problem, relatively speaking. Even with Kane and Tarasenko being added and whatnot, I think Boston will beat New York in 6. And then Dallas versus LA. Dallas beats LA in 6, which then leads to Boston versus Dallas for the Stanley Cup. Boston in 6. And the Bruins cap off their incredibly historic season with another banner to hang in their rafters. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if you agree or disagree. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out on future videos and streams. Catch you all next time. Peace.